a proponent of newsletters. The saddest part about newsletters is they can be expensive if you've never done it before. But I want you to understand about a newsletter is that A, it needs to be newsworthy. It doesn't need to quote the minutes necessarily, but it might summarize some points that were made at a board meeting. And it shouldn't have any confidential information in it. But it should be newsworthy to help the homeowners feel like they're a part of the community. Does it need to be glitzy and have all this nice flowery stuff across the top like a banner and then all this properly formatted text and text on both sides? Not necessarily. If you're able to do that and you have somebody in the community who loves doing that sort of thing, by all means, you should format it nicely and make it look good because they'll read it. But on the other hand, if it's a simple typewritten page with some news information on it that you can get out to your homeowners, that works just as well. I highly recommend that if you have something happening in the community that's of interest to your owners, that you kind of think they might question this if they find out about it through a back door somewhere, you better put it out up front. Get it to them in advance. Put a newsletter out. It can be a simple one-page letter. I would think if you're going to take the opportunity to put a letter out, fill both sides with something. Maybe the front side might be the newsworthy item, the back side might be some reminders of some rules or some things like that. A lot of communities that have good newsletters that do it well actually put recipes in, because women love recipes, or I should say cooks love recipes. And they might have comments about vacations that maybe a homeowner took that everybody knows that particular homeowner. Little things like that in a newsletter are fun and newsworthy. But the point about newsletters in my talk today is always keep your homeowners informed up front, and you'll save a lot of problem on the backside. They won't be calling you saying, why is this happening? You'll have told them already. The problem with that, of course, is when you finally tell them, well, didn't you get the newsletter? Oh, I don't read those things. I've heard that so many times. Yep, you know what? You have to kind of say to them, that's why we send it out. You need to read it. That's why it's there. I'm happy to share with you now what the newsletter says, but please, we put the newsletter out. That would have solved your problem and answered your question well in advance.
I'm Bill Robinson, doesn't mean anything. I'm on the board of Desert La Palma. But I've been doing newsletters for years for my other career as an insurance agent. And I do on my computer using Microsoft First Publisher, which is a fairly easy program to put together a newsletter. And I made a simple banner and formatted columns. And it's a 4-pager printed on 11 by 17 paper, so it's just folded and mailed out. But we also do it in color. I colorize some of the type and so forth, and we email it. We have about 40% of our homeowners now, have close to 50% probably, have given us their email address, so we email it to them. It's a great way to keep people informed. I have stock articles I repeat every 6 to 10 months a year, including check your fire alarm detector, smoke detector batteries, and clean your drains from your air conditioner so they don't clog up, and all kinds of other things. Keep reminding them some of the things they need to do, as well as reporting on what happened at the board meetings, and the president has a message in there and other things. It's a great way to inform, and it's not a lot of work. It costs about $90 to mail it out. Actually, $90 to print it, copy it at the copy place. That's not a terrible expense. I don't charge for putting it together, and I can suggest that BPM, through our property manager, Mike Livingston, has the PDF file for our last several newsletters. So if any of you are interested to see what it looks like, you can probably get one of the BPM people to send you that PDF. And if you want further guidance, within reason, I'll make myself available by phone call to give anyone guidance on it.
There you go. There's your newsletter publisher right there. Okay. Okay, so here's a case where you've got a board member who took the bull by the horns and actually solved the problem. He started creating a newsletter for his community, and it works well. He's found a way to make it work. You can find a way to make yours work also by getting a board member or a homeowner to help with that. When you send out email notices, and I highly recommend you can email your homeowners on things, you need to blind copy. If you put their address in what's called the BCC box, on most emails it's called BCC, that's a blind copy, the address is not published in the email, so your neighbors don't see the address. There's a lot of talk about, do you have to have their authorization to send out that email? It's recommended that you have it, but but a newsletter is not under the documents of the Civil Code. The Civil Code says for those documents that require first-class mail, this select set of documents can be sent by email if you get the homeowner's permission to do so. That's what the whole permission thing's all about. If you want to send a newsletter out and simply send it out to your homeowners you have email addresses for, unless you're thinking you're going to offend them, you can send it out to those who haven't even responded, and it might be a good way to encourage them to respond and give you permission to send out the official documents as well. But do send it blind copy so it doesn't broadcast their email address. Is there an alternative where we can just post this newsletter on Facebook or on some other web type address? That works. My issue here is communicate with your homeowners. Keep them aware of what's going on, particularly when you're making changes, so that they don't come to you after the fact and chew you out for making the change. They actually come to you and say, thank you, we appreciate what you're doing for the community, because they got advance notification of it. That's the point behind newsletters. If you haven't got a website for your community, you ought to have a website. And you could post the newsletter on your own website. And then simply, they know from general conversation, maybe you can post on the bulletin board, that the newsletter is now up and running on our website. Go to our website and see what the news is of the day. That works well. PPM has a nice little website they can provide for you. It's not glitzy, but it's really informative. And it has a place for you to store documents and a place for you can put newsworthy things out so that your homeowners can be kept informed.